You know Gray Bar for electrical parts, but there's one more thing you may not be thinking of us for that can help maximize your next project's total value. Our pre-project planning services are designed to help you win the bid, save on labor costs, and keep your installers productive across your entire build. The sooner you call us, the better. Because when we're there from the beginning, we can anticipate your needs and help you solve problems before they become problems. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
This week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball. I am doing my best to get Sam Dykstra's approval today. I don't think he's even commented on my hat.
I was waiting to do it for the show.
What a guy. What a guy.
Why would we take show-related content and talk about it off air?
That is true. We got to save that sweet, sweet primo content, especially for the people who pay for our Patreon for the Show Before the Show After Dark. I'm rocking a Woo Sox hat today. I have to give a shout out to Brendan Black with the Worcester Red Sox, who I got a chance to do some Home Run Derby X events with last year. And I posted something on National Hat Day about my hat wall. And Brendan was like, "Do you not have a Woo Sox hat?" And I was like, "No, I don't." And he's like, "Well, I need to correct that." He's the director of ballpark entertainment there for the old Woo Sox, by the way. And as nice of a guy as you will meet. And not only did I get the little smiley face BP hat, but I also got the classic red W with the heart. But red hats these days, very charged. So we welcome in this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball. Tyler Munn, Sam Dykstra, Benjamin Hill. Fellas, what's going on? Sam, obviously a little bit calmer week for you than last week, being on TV, unveiling Top 100. No, not at all. You're just not on TV.
No, not at all.
That's it.
Because what happens after Top 100 release is Top 30.
Everybody yells at you. Oh, yeah, that too.
Well, that too. It's everybody yells at me from various sources across the industry. And I send out early lists and they're like, "No, that's wrong. Fix that. Push this guy here. Push that guy there." It's all part of the process. And I greatly appreciate it. Trust me. That makes it sound like hell on earth. It is not. It's a joyous time. It's just talking baseball with people left, right, and center. But no, it does not slow down just because the Top 100 is out. Now, all of a sudden, it's a churn to get these top 30s in shape before the release in early March.
Well, we know that it is also not a quiet time of year for Benjamin Hill either. I feel like this is when things really start. Like once we cross over into February, I feel like the insanity starts kind of like promo schedules are going to start coming out. We're getting more alternate identities. It feels like every other day. What's been going on with you?
Yeah, it has been pretty busy for me all of a sudden for old Ben's biz. Ballpark guides. You guys know the ballpark guides. Hopefully the listeners know that. That's a project we started in 2021, launched in 2023, an interactive road trip tool on MLB.com with searchable maps and in-depth write-ups of every single minor league ballpark. Check it out on MLB.com/fans/ballpark guides or minor league ballpark guides. Just Google minor league ballpark guides. But yeah, there are new ballpark guides to write because there's 4 new ballparks entering the landscape in 2025. So we've got preliminary editions coming very soon for the new ballparks in Spartanburg, in Columbus, Georgia, in Salt Lake City. I can never name all 3 or all 4 in a row at the same time.
Columbus, Spartanburg,
Knoxville, and Salt Lake City. Every time this happens, I say 3 and it's a different 3 every time. And there's like a 4th one I forget every time. And there'll be 4 more in 2026, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But we're looking.
That's how I am with my friends who have kids, by the way. Like anybody who has more than like 2 kids, I'm like, I'm going to remember 2 at most. I'm not. And it's going to rotate which 2 I remember.
Yeah, it's tough. Kaylee, Chase, I don't know.
You're saying the most 2025 names you can think of.
Aiden, Caden, Braden, Jaden. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, additional challenge. I'm trying to think now. What are the 4 in 2026 that we know about? Chattanooga, Richmond, Ontario, California. And once again, I'm forgetting the 4th. I cannot get 4 in a row.
Tune in 2026.
Yeah, for the new ballpark. But we're also updating those ballpark guides because obviously things have changed since we've written them. So a lot of stuff floating around with that, we have a new logo release that I'd love to talk about on this podcast, but this episode will drop just a little bit before the logo does, but working in advance on one of those. So we'll talk about it next week, which will kind of wrap up the rebranding season of 2024-25 off season. Of course, there's a lot more alternate identities to come. We'll talk about one of those today. Doing the podcast, just trying to keep abreast of life. There's a lot going on.
Which is a good way to be, once we
I'd rather be busy than not busy. And I started reading
Doldrums of winter.
Yeah, I'm busy. And then I finally get to some free time at the end of the day after, doing bath time and bedtime with Harry, my son, just in case someone thought Harry was just some random guy or something.
Bath time and bedtime with Harry, just a guy I know from my corner bodega.
Guy in the neighborhood. No, time to get him to bed, have some dinner. It's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. I'm a tired old man. And you know what I do after that? I read War and Peace. I'm about 72 pages in. I've got a 2025 goal to finish War and Peace. I'm about 72 pages in. So
how many total pages?
It's about, obviously it depends on the edition.
I was going to say, in your edition.
Mine's about 1,200, which I think is more or less what and it's dense. And then like the first, obviously it's translated from Russian, but then there's all this French throughout. So the French stays in French when they talk in French, and then there's like little asterisks. So you're like, all right, now they talk in France, and you look at the bottom of the page to see like what the French was. And then there's like little numbered footnotes that sometimes you want to look up because it refers to something you think might be helpful. Then you're like, wait, this character? Okay, wait, let me look at the beginning with the character list. And like, all right, it's the Rostov family or the Barukovs. And then I don't even know how to say Russian. So I need to like actually learn to speak these names out loud because I think that'll help me get everyone straight. But also, I like it. I genuinely look forward to it at the end of the night. But because it's so dense, I probably only read, I don't think I've ever read more than like 20 pages at a time.
Oh, for me, it would be like 4.
Yeah, and sometimes it is just like 4 or 5.
Wow.
By the time I pick it up, reread the last couple paragraphs from where I left off, look at some historical notes, and then I start, and then like 10 minutes later, I'm like, okay. Like, it's a lot.
I admire that immensely. I have not I've always been so intimidated by like that crime and punishment, like the big heavy epics in that genre. I don't know if I could ever. I don't think I'm smart enough to digest that.
Well, you are. It just takes time. I used to have what I called a kitchen table book going at all times in a more free time of my life, and that's in that context. I read. I always just call it the Brothers K. Who are those brothers? I can't. I read
Karamazov.
That's it. Yeah, I read that. I read Moby Dick. I read Don Quixote. Incredible books. And then for the most part, you're like, these are classics for a reason. It's easy to see them as these like big dusty obligations, but man, they really cook, as the kids say.
Sam, by the way, while you were describing all that, Sam was sitting back like this. And I felt like you had something to say about this.
No, I have nothing to say. I mean, I admire it. As somebody who feels proud of himself for finally starting Twin Peaks, upon the sad passing of David Lynch. You were tackling something much grander.
Hey, but Twin Peaks rules.
I've never watched Twin Peaks, so I'm in the same boat.
All right.
So I gotta do it soon too. I have finished 3 books so far in January, but I don't feel like that's an accomplishment because all of them added up is nowhere near 1,200 pages. But
one of them was in French, so you do have that.
That is true. Just reading constantly in French. I did finally read. Man, this is an off-season start to the show. I read Slaughterhouse-Five, the first Kurt Vonnegut book that I have ever read. Amazing. Which is, again, it's one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, this is a classic for a reason. This is a classic author for a reason. This is a thing that people get assigned for a reason. But yeah, big fan. I liked it.
We should do an entire episode where we're unstuck in time.
I would love that. We just go back. We're like, here's the time we talked with Pete Alonso. And then we're going to talk with like someone who's currently a baby, but they're going to be the top 100 prospect, in 2043. It's going to be great.
Yeah, let's just start a podcast where we just talk about what we're reading.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I can talk about War and Peace, but also about cheap paperback crime novels. I love those just as much. It takes all kinds.
We've done a lot of baseball book discussion on the show. We should probably just do like a baseball book episode of the show before the show. I think it'll be fun. Well, okay.
No baseball, just books.
Yeah, no baseball, just books. No more time to waste as we dive in on this week's episode of the show before the show. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to get in touch with us, podcast at milb.com is the place to do that. And we always love hearing from you. And we are going to kick things off with an item from Ben's newsletter on this week's episode of the show before the show, The Baseball Traveler, which this week dives into the longest championship droughts in minor league baseball. And this is such an interesting topic because it's not like you can just tie it to, it's ineptitude, it's cheap ownership, it's this team doesn't draft well, this team doesn't develop well. Because when you look back at all of these franchises that are listed, they've had different parent clubs, they've been in different leagues, they've been in different levels in some circumstances. But this is really interesting that there are some teams out there that have not won titles in a very, very, very long time. Ben, take it away.
Yeah, part and parcel with me feeling like I've already done everything in my career and I'm now just circling the drain and doing everything to diminishing returns again and again and again until retirement. This is the story I wrote this week. Just kidding. I love this topic. I do, actually. Again, you can feel two ways about something at the same time. I actually have always loved this topic, which is why I keep writing about it. But I haven't written the longest championship drought story since 2019. I did one in 2015, one in 2019, and it's interesting to see how things changed. Also, in the previous versions, during a previous era of minor league baseball, I just did it league by league because there had been more, stability in which teams were in which leagues. And it was just like, here's the longest championship droughts in each league. For this version, with so much movement in the minor leagues, especially, in 2021, I thought, let's just look throughout all of minor league baseball and find the teams of the 120 teams currently playing in minor league baseball, the ones that have gone the longest since winning. And like Tyler mentioned, it is a bit of a crapshoot. So much can change. It's not, the same thing necessarily as, a huge drought at a major league level. Certainly it's not something the fans are as fixated on, but there are obviously diehard fans in all these markets, and the people who work for the teams, it matters something. And the players themselves, they probably don't care much about a particular drought going into their stint with the team, but they always want to win, so, it still does, matter in that regard. And I just like the minutia of minor league baseball and figuring these things out. So drum roll, please. The team that has gone the longest without a title in all of minor league baseball is the Syracuse Mets.
Syracuse Mets.
Yeah, last one at all in 1976 when they were the Chiefs. Of course, they were usually the Chiefs from 1934 all the way through 2019 when they changed their name to the Mets. Well, in 2021 after that last season.
Briefly the Sky Chiefs as well.
Yes. I think they were era. I think when I started working in minor league baseball or covering it, it was during the relatively short-lived Sky Chiefs era. But the Chiefs won 8 International League titles between they started in 34, won one in 1935, and they won 8 total between 1935 and 1976. They were a Yankees affiliate at the time. Bobby Cox was the manager. Ron Guidry was used in a relief role. But that was almost 50 years ago now, and Syracuse has not won it at all. They went from the Yankees. They had a long affiliation with the Blue Jays. Over 2 decades, which they never won it all. They had a time with the Nationals, never won it all, and now with the Mets. So hopefully that can change. But obviously, the International League's tougher than ever to win a title because there's 20 teams in the International League. But hope springs eternal. So those Syracuse Mets, hopefully they can get it going. And I don't know if we have to go through everyone, but it's kind of fun to talk about, right? I think it is. As much as I was negative when I started this, I actually like this topic. Don't listen to me. It
really is a very interesting topic. It really is.
And I really do like it. Why did I feel the need to talk down on it?
To poo-poo.
Yeah, but that's like something rooted in my psychology. I'm a lot better at it now than I used to be, but man, that was bad form. I love minor league championship droughts. Number 2 is the Las Vegas Aviators, who have not won one since 1988 as the Stars. That's the
two team names ago.
Yeah, 2 team names ago. This is a franchise that's been around since 1983. They were a Padres affiliate initially, the Las Vegas Stars, and they won twice in the Stars era in 86 and in 88. That 88 squad had both Alomars, Roberto and Sandy, Bruce Bochy, Bip Roberts, who I always loved, I think because he was in a commercial with Tony Gwynn that was really funny. But anyway, 1988, they have not done it since then. They went to the Dodgers, they went to the Blue Jays, they went to the Mets, and since 2019, they are with the A's, but have not been able to get lucky in Vegas. And that includes the entirety of the 51s era, when they were Las Vegas 51s with the alien identity. And they've been the Aviators since 2019, which is the same year the affiliation with the A's started. And we got a lot of AAA at the top. The Iowa Cubs are interesting because they haven't won since 1993. The Iowa Cubs are currently an International League team since 2021. Before that, they spent decades in the Pacific Coast League, and they didn't win a title they haven't won in the International League yet. They did not win in the Pacific Coast League when they were there. The last time the Iowa Cubs won was in 1993 when they were in the American Association, which I believe went defunct after the 1997 or 1998 season. The teams in the American Association then mostly, for the most part, folded into the IL and the PCL, and they proceeded with 2 AAA leagues. But the American Association was the last time the Iowa Cubs won a title in 1993. And in 1994, the Salt Lake Bees were established in the Pacific Coast League, and they have never won. So there's another AAA. They're moving into a new ballpark this year, so hopefully
they have an infinite title drought.
Yeah, an infinite title drought. Although, as I do mention the story,
time.
Yeah, I mean, Salt Lake City, there's been teams named the Bees going back over 100 years, and various iterations in the past have won titles. But the iteration now that was established in 1994 and has played consecutively since then as an Angels affiliate since 2001, nothing so far. So that's the longest drought in minor league baseball of a team that is yet to win its first title. That honor, if you will, goes to the Salt Lake Bees. So we got the Beloit Skycarp, previously the Snappers. They go back to 1995. The Rochester Red Wings, established in 1899 and have won 19 championships. That's a lot, but they have not won one since 1997. So they're in a drought as well. Charlotte Knights going back to 1999 when they actually played in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Their old ballpark wasn't even in Charlotte, so Charlotte proper needs a championship. Harrisburg Senators is a fun one to talk about. They last won in 1999. One, it capped off a four-peat, and two, that 1999 championship, which capped off the four-peat, that was when Milton Bradley, and I think we've talked about this on the podcast before. It's the decisive game 5, bases loaded, 2 outs, full count, Senators losing 11-8 in the rain, and Milton Bradley hits a grand slam to win 12-11. Like, that is literally the ultimate walk-off.
Yeah.
The ultimate.
Yeah.
Bases loaded, full count, 2 outs, down by 3, bottom of the 9th in the deciding game of the championship.
Yeah, that is the thing that we all said we were doing in the backyard as kids.
Yeah. I mean, it does not, you can't do it more magical than that. And maybe it was so magic that, the baseball gods were like, all right, that one.
That's enough for Harrisburg.
You've won 4 in a row, and now you've won in literally the most amazing way possible. Let's chill out on your championships for a little bit. So they go to 1999. Dayton Dragons since 2000, nothing. Who else we got? Delmarva since 2000, nothing. Indianapolis Indians, like Rochester, another very long franchise that's won a lot over the course of its existence, but haven't won since 2000. And Round Rock Express, established in the AA Texas League, won it all in their inaugural 2000 season, switched to the Pacific Coast League in 2005, but they have never won since that inaugural season in 2000. So I did go through all of them. I tried to get quicker as I went along. I love this topic. That's why. And, I close it with a note because in previous versions of this article, I included among teams that had a championship drought, those that had won co-championships. I was like, that doesn't count. And this time around, I was like, I'm not going to include that. If you won a co-championship, we'll consider that not part of a drought. Where do you guys fall on that?
I think a co-championship ends a drought because in many ways it's actually weather related. Reason why you've won you've won a co-championship, like Dunedin is one of the teams. I feel like every few years the Florida State League playoffs get canceled because of a hurricane that sweeps through, and that's not their fault. let's give them their due and say a co-championship counts.
Yeah.
But then again, like I think one of the reasons why I enjoy you doing this series every once in a while and updating it and keeping people abreast of like where the droughts are is so that we learn to celebrate the championships when they do come.
That's really what I did, and that's kind of what my intro gets at. I'm not putting this out there to be like, haha, these teams suck, they haven't won. For me, I've always loved an underdog, and I know a lot of people do too. So this is also for me about being like, hey, if you need a casual rooting interest, or if you just pay attention to minor league baseball writ large, like this is just a little storyline in the back of your mind to kind of root for these teams who haven't had it for a long time. That's something I've always loved as a fan in minors and Major League Baseball, knowing those little ins and outs and nooks and crannies. And I hope this helps other people get just a bit more enjoyment out of it. But yeah, the Dunedin Blue Jays, established in 1986, have never won a outright championship, but they did were co-champions in 2017. That was finals were canceled due to some hurricane or other. Was it Irma that year? I can't remember. And Reading Phillies haven't won one since 1995 outright, but they were co-champions in 2001. And of course, that was the year in which, across minor league baseball, the championship series were canceled in the wake of 9/11. So Reading and Dunedin have the little asterisk. They're not on the drought list, but they haven't won outright for quite a long time. And every time, last thing I'll say, every time an article like this comes out, I always have paranoia that despite trying to double and triple check, that I somehow just forgot a team. It's just very easy to do in something like this. So in a way, it's good that the newsletter went out today, because I feel if I really mess something up, someone will email me and then we can correct it before it becomes a story. So who knows? If I made a mistake, let me know. Benjamin.hill@mlb.com. And I mean any sort of mistake. Just let me know.
Just any mistake in life.
Yeah, anything.
All right, you guys. We have yet another Eastern League alternate identity to discuss. By the way, you can go subscribe to the Baseball Traveler and get all of Ben's content. Go to milb.com, find the newsletters page, sign up for the newsletter. You will also get a weekly edition of Josh Jackson Interrupts in that newsletter, which is one of my favorite things just because of the pictures that it comes with every week. Okay, we have a new alternate identity in the Eastern League. Sometimes when it comes to the Hartford Yard Ghost, you just like throw your hands up and you're like, I don't know what this one is, but it's going to be great. And that's kind of the case in 2025. One of our favorite franchises and front offices in all of minor league baseball. They have rolled out the Hartford Thunder Chickens. Well, what's going on here, Ben?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll say that in 2012, one of my early road trip seasons, I visited the Northwest Arkansas Naturals for the first time. And I got there the day after the team had played, the Naturals had played as the Thunder Chickens. It was a what could have been night, and Thunder Chickens was one of Northwest Arkansas's finalists in their Name the Team contest.
Which kind of makes sense. Storms, obviously the poultry industry in that area. There was the tie-in for that. Yeah.
And they switched the alternate identity over the years to growling chickens. They still do a chicken thing. Tyler, like you said, there's Springdale, Arkansas in that area. Northwest Arkansas has a lot of the poultry industry. I believe Tyson is headquartered there. So 13 years later, we have a new Thunder Chickens in minor league baseball, and it's not in Northwest Arkansas. It's not tied into the poultry industry. In fact, it's not actually tied into a chicken, because in Hartford's telling, and Sam is offended as a proper New Englander, but Hartford says that, in their region, in New England, this is what New Englanders say. Growing up in Palmer, Massachusetts, you saw a turkey and you didn't call it a turkey. You called it a Thunder Chicken, and that's what Hartford is celebrating.
Yeah, I've never heard this term before. Listen, I've driven through turkeys. My family has stories of hitting turkeys with our cars. Like a turkey, I hope no turkey is listening to this. They are very dumb animals. My dad once was driving along the road and there was a turkey in the road, and the turkey turned to my dad's car, and instead of flying off, flew into the car, decided to fly directly straight towards it.
He was bowing up. He's like, bring it on, car, and didn't realize that he was.
Yeah, like I said, it was
not going to go well.
Not smart animals.
Yeah, and Sam's dad was like, what is this Thunder Chicken doing?
If only the lightning would have warned me. Anyways, long story short, the thing cracked the grill of my dad's car.
Wow.
And, I think it was like $200, $300 damage, something like
You
that.
know, our main bureau chief Josh Jackson has a story about hitting a turkey in recent years as well, and I don't remember exactly what the story is, but it was like he and a friend were driving into. I'm sure that he's listening to the podcast. He listens every week. He and a friend were like driving into like a state park. And they like saw like the ranger at the entrance. I'm gonna butcher this whole thing. They're driving around. They end up hitting a turkey, and then like on the way out, the ranger commented that like either there was like, sorry to anyone listening, there was like viscera or feathers or something of the turkey like still present on the car, and the guy was like, what happened here?" They're like, sorry, we happened to hit a turkey. I don't think I'm remembering that story accurately, so I'm going to send him a voice note as soon as we get done here. But that's the story now on the public record. So now we have that. And he was like, man, Thunder Chicken would have been a lot better for dinner than riding it over with our car.
Yeah, and Josh called the officer Officer Butterball, which did not help the situation at all. He thought he was being funny, but
This is during Josh's era as a Yogi Bear,
Right.
like
right.
cartoon character.
oh yeah.
Hey, boo-boo.
All right. So Thunder
But
Chicken.
yes.
Sam disputes the veracity of this claim, I guess.
I can see it. Like I get their reason.
Okay, so let's read here from the press release because that's where information comes from. This press release is the Thunder Chicken is a nickname given to wild turkeys because of the loud gobbling sound they make, which can be thunderous and guttural. Connecticut is home to a large and stable population of wild turkeys, an estimated 35,000. It's also a nickname for the ruffed grouse, which I believe is Pennsylvania's state bird, but the ruffed grouse is also native to Connecticut. So Thunder Chicken. You can call turkey a thunder chicken. You can call a ruffed grouse when you see those around a thunder chicken. There's a lot of chickens or turkeys.
Look at all these chickens
in Connecticut. So the branding has it's like a chicken who got struck by lightning. That's what Hartford's going to be playing as.
A turkey.
Turkey that's got struck by lightning. Yeah.
A thunder chicken.
A turkey that is very much in distress. You should say this turkey that they are using for the logo.
The turkey basically has like the eyes of that goofy bird in Moana. It's like looking two different directions. It looks like it's had a long day. But you too can get your Hartford Thunder Chickens merch right now. Mike Abramson, if you are tuned in, as always, we tip our caps to you and the Hartford Yard Goats. Incredible work, as it always is. All right, you guys, one final note before we head into our interview for this week's episode of the show before the show. Minor League Baseball this week announced a new collaboration with Stand Up to Cancer, the organization that funds the development of new and promising cancer treatments to help cancer patients. This obviously is something that you have seen around the baseball world in the Big League All-Star Game, the World Series, and now the Stand Up to Cancer initiative is coming to a partnership with Minor League Baseball. To date, through Stand Up to Cancer, more than 3,100 scientists from more than 210 institutions have participated in Stand Up to Cancer funded research projects, which helps connect scientists in collaboration to create new treatments, lead to better cancer prevention and diagnosis and treatment in addition. During the 2025 season, minor league baseball teams around the country will host their own Stand Up to Cancer night, where fans will have the opportunity to participate in the placard movement, which is the thing that never fails to make me cry during the All-Star Game and during the World Series at the big league level. A quote from April Brown, Major League Baseball's Senior Vice President of Social Responsibility and Diversity. She said, quote, "The funds raised by Stand Up to Cancer have helped researchers around the world in their efforts to cure cancer, and minor league baseball is pleased to join them in the fight. Everyone is impacted by cancer in some way, and our teams across the country are excited to make an impact for this tremendous organization." This is really cool. Very proud to be associated with this, with MILB. Nearly 5,500 Americans are diagnosed with cancer every single day. And I think that really hits the nail on the head. It is something that affects everybody in some way, whether you've been diagnosed, a family member has been diagnosed, a friend has been diagnosed. It is something that everyone can get behind, new research and collaboration pathways. So you can get more information on that at MILB.com. And coming up, we are going to head to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Ben, this is a very fun interview coming up this week. Tee it up for us.
Yeah, it's a unique one. And at the start of the interview itself, I think I provide quite a bit of background information before it kicks off, so I won't say too much here, except to say that we're going to speak to a minor league executive and a teenage race car driver about how their paths intersect and what we can expect from their collaboration. So stay tuned for more about teenage race car drivers and minor league executives.
Gold Bond knows that things are just better with a little boost. Like your music? And your skin. Check out Gold Bond's new Plumping Collagen Body and Face Serum Lotion. It's clinically shown to visibly plump and boost skin hydration by 50%, leaving your skin looking hydrated and more youthful. Turn up beautiful skin with Gold Bond's new Plumping Collagen Body and Face Serum Lotion. Learn more on Amazon.
Racing fans, on Saturday, February 1st, the 2025 Cookout Madness Classic will be held at historic Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Competing in the race will be 17-year-old Riley, the real deal Neal, the youngest winner in Bowman Gray history. And he'll be driving a car sponsored by the Winston-Salem Dash, painted up purple and white in the team's colors. So today, we are pleased to have two guests, Winston-Salem Dash President Brian DeAngelis and the man himself, Riley, real deal Neal. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Well, there's a history, obviously, between Riley and the Dash. I got to meet Riley when I visited Winston-Salem last July, and we talked a little bit. I found him to be, really impressive, especially for a teenager. In addition to being a racer, a race car driver, and a high school student, he was working for the Dash for Legends, the food and beverage group. So, Riley, what got you involved with that aspect of your life, with working for the Dash?
So, actually, Frankie Petrie did, and my mom has knew Frankie ever since she was really little, and it was just one of those contacts, and I was looking for a job, and Frankie reached out and was like, hey, we could use some help at the ballpark, and it was just one of them deals. It all worked out great, and I had a great time working there for Kit and Zach and everybody, and getting to work for Brian, whatever he needed. It was like a really big family. I loved it there.
Yeah, so you were working for the Dash. You also told me you were working another job, pumping out septic tanks. But obviously, your primary passion, primary job, essentially, is race car driver. You're third generation racer. Had success at Bowman Gray already. Can you just tell us a little bit about your history of being a race car driver? Even though you're just 17 years old, you've been doing it a long time.
So I kind of started driving full body late models at A Speedway in 2019 when I was 10 years old. Or no, it was 2018. I'm sorry, 2018 when I was 10 years old, and 2020 was my first full season of racing, and I actually won my first race that I ever run in. And we went on to win 4 races that year. I won the track championship in 2020. In 2021, I ended up winning 1 race at Caraway in a friend's car. And 2022 is when we started our journey at Bowman Gray Stadium. And I actually won the second week of the season there and became the youngest winner in 73 years of history there. And I think I was 4 months and 23 days, somewhere in there. But you have to be 14 to compete there. And I was just 4 months over the line and was winning. So, it was something really cool to me and to my entire family. And like you say, I'm third generation. My entire family's grew up there. So it's very cool to put my name in the history books and continue on a family legacy over there.
Yeah, so Brian, you've obviously gotten to know Riley through, him working at the ballpark, but tell me a little bit about how this sponsorship, came about to the point where Riley will be racing in a Dash themed automobile this weekend.
Yeah, so at first I thought he was just trying to take in Richard Childress' shoes and sell peanuts and popcorn to get his start, which is exactly what Richard did at Bowman Gray. So when he wanted to work for us over at the stadium, I was like, why not? There's a great lineage of popcorn sellers in the NASCAR industry, as we all know. So that's what started the relationship with Riley working with us. And then when we find out he was racing, and then not only racing, but he's won, He said, "Hey, the Clash is coming. We're looking for some partners. Who else am I going to partner with? I mean, Riley's a great kid. He's a great employee. He's a good racer too. He's a great ambassador for the club. I mean, if I'm not out in the community talking about the Dash, he's telling somebody about us as well. He's exactly what you want from an employee. So when that opportunity came up and we knew it was going to be on TV and in front of, I think it's 17,000 people they're expecting over there as well. It was just kind of a no-brainer. So then it was just like, hey, we're minor league baseball. Let's get creative. That's what we do. So let's design the uniform. Let's design the car. Let's put all the hoopla around whatever this event's going to be and try to make it as milb as we can for a NASCAR event. So it's been a lot of fun just partnering with them.
Yeah, and take us through the design of the car itself. Like Ben was saying, it's got those purple and white touches that everybody associates with the Dash these days. It's got a little bit of the seams in the back going right over the name Dash back by the left tire. You guys are used to designing uniforms and alternate identities and being creative in that way. Designing a car, I imagine, is a horse of a different color. Ryan, first take us through how you guys were involved, and then Riley, tell us, were there any alterations you made to the design, or did you just rubber stamp it?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's obviously not something we do too frequently. Fortunately, I think I did a die-cast car giveaway at one point in my career, and the amount of giveaways I've done now is beyond me. But I kind of look at it more like a bobblehead, where it's like, all right, we kind of know what the frame is going to be, and once you have that figured out, it's like, how do we make this us? And fortunately, Riley was great with working with us and trying to figure out how to make this thing pop, and with the white base and putting that purple on top of it. And there was a couple, we put our mascot Bolt is on there, of course. So we had some different colors we could have, and we decided the seams was going to make it, because at the end of the day, there's gonna be so many people watching this that not everyone may know we're in Winston-Salem. Not everyone may know there's a team here and that they're called the Dash. So we tried to baseball it up as much as we could. And that's where, his fire suit in particular, looking like our jersey, that was the most direct connection. But on the car, it was kind of like, a blank canvas, and how do we do it from here? And collaborating with Riley, he can get into some of the detail, because I think it was Riley, wasn't it your dad that actually put all the decals on himself? So it's kind of happened here, really, right?
Yeah, so we have a graphics guy, Bradley McCaskill. Big shout out to him. He has been so great throughout this whole deal. So they're out of Raleigh, and we do all of our business over the phone. So we was just calling him and throwing ideas at him and throwing this together, and he would send us something back. And he actually laid out like 5 different designs, and I was partial to all of them, really. I liked them all, but I sent it over to Cody and let him show it to Brian and Morgan and everybody at the ballpark, and was like, y'all pick. It's at the end of the day, it's not my choice. I can still have a little bit of a say, but it's not my choice ultimately. But I think it turned out beautiful. I think it's the best looking race car I've ever had. And I think it's going to be the best one at the stadium in general this entire year and for years to come. And I'm sure Brian would agree with me on that.
It's going to look real nice in the winter circle for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Everything looks better with a trophy, right?
That's right.
Well, Riley, I want to ask you specifically, because this is a minor league baseball podcast, but it is a sports podcast. You are a winner at Bowman Gray Stadium. What is the trick to winning there? I mean, what kind of racing goes on there? What kind of style is it, and what do you feel like you have to do to race your best there?
So I feel like it definitely takes being aggressive and having an aggressive mindset. Obviously, you have to have patience, but at the same time, you have to be aggressive and know when to be aggressive.
Riley, from the standpoint of being able to do this with, your own professional family backing you in separate ways, your racing family and obviously your baseball family, does it make it feel, I don't want to say more pressure, but it's obviously, I would imagine, going to have a much different feeling for you personally, climbing into a car that has those logos on the side, wearing a uniform, essentially, that's a Dash replica. Like, what do you think that's going to feel like when you get to the day?
It's definitely going to be something cool, and something that I don't think that's really set in yet. It feels just like a great partnership to me. I've been trying to represent them the best I can and do everything in my power, but I really don't think it's all going to set in until Saturday morning. Until I put my suit on and I'm walking down to the race car, I don't think it's going to set in. But it's definitely going to be an amazing, very cool experience for me and for my entire team. To be able to be a part of something like this and basically have the entire Winston-Salem community on my back.
What's cool too is there's a story on NASCAR.com about this. Obviously, there have been headlines, from places that because of this crossover might not have known about, your career in this type of event and all of that. What's that been like to see this crossover of things that you're so passionate about and so in love with in your own life that now you're kind of the force behind merging? That is really cool.
It's very cool to so Cody come to the shop yesterday or 2 days ago and brought us some dash hats for all the guys to wear, and I think he was talking about me answering him or not something, and I was like, dude, my phone has went off the hook for the last 2 weeks since we announced it. It has been the most crazy thing for my social media, for my phone, for everything. All of my social medias have been off the rail, and my phone has been blowing up with, can you come do this podcast? Let's do this interview. Let's do this. Like, it's just been absolutely, I don't even know the word I'm looking for. It's just so amazing. It's blown me away, really. It has.
And Ryan, one thing we haven't really gotten into here yet is like what level of racing this is for people who might be listening who are minor league baseball fans first. Can you put it into like a minor league baseball or just baseball analogy for like what level of racing this is?
So honestly, I feel like the MLB is NASCAR for sure.
Right.
But I really feel like the NASCAR regional modifieds are really like the MLIB because it's basically one step down from NASCAR is all it is. And like I say, the next step for me, the next biggest thing would be ARCA. And that's NASCAR at that point. So like I say, it's something really cool to be a part of, knowing that I'm one step away from being here. And I really want to get to that next step soon.
Yeah, I mean, we talk to prospects all the time, baseball prospects, and you talk about like how much is it on your mind of the first day you'll get to throw a pitch at the major league level. Do you like wake up in the morning and think about like that first time where you're going to step into a NASCAR vehicle and what that, going up against the green flag will be like, or do you keep it focused race to race?
I think about it all the time. Before I go to sleep, when I wake up, when I'm in the shower, when I'm eating breakfast, I think about it all the time because that's my dream. That's what I'm working towards. That's what I'm chasing. It's something in the racing industry. If you don't stay on the grind and you don't put your mind forward 25/8, you're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah, and I grew up in the Northeast, don't know much about racing, but when I did visit Winston-Salem, Brian and Morgan took me to go see Bowman Gray, and unfortunately didn't see a race, but I kind of fell in love with that stadium immediately. It was just a throwback, old school, big concrete bowl. I'm sure lots of history there, and I heard it's rowdy. It's got a rowdy reputation. So, what's Bowman Gray like racing there? And then Brian, if you go to races there, what do you think the vibe is like there? What can people expect?
I was gonna say I might have a better take on this than Riley. He's down there for business. I'm not. But they call it the madhouse.
Business can go sideways sometimes. So.
Oh, it does too. It does too, and that's why it is the madhouse, right? I mean, it is properly named, and that name's been around for a while for a reason. You're going to see some racing; it's going to be loud. You're probably going to see some fights on the track. You're going to see them in the bowl. People are into it. I mean, the whole thing's an event, not just the race. I mean, it is amazing atmosphere. The shape of that bowl just echoes. The noise is insane. I mean, when I first walked in, I didn't realize they started handing me some ear coverings. I'm like, I thought they were doing like a headphone giveaway. Dumb minor league guy. I'm like, what's the giveaway today? And it's like, oh no, it's headphones. No, you're going to need those so you don't blow your eardrums out. But it's wild. I mean, the people are so into it. They have, if you go right now, I think, Ben, when we were there was already people claiming seats like 6 months in advance for a race that had their name written on and put little pads out and everything as if they're still going to be there. But that's how into it they are. I mean, it is insane to go to one of these races. So I can't imagine now when we have actual like cup cars. and national TV, and they brought in all these lights, and they're doing these full LED, and the whole field is painted up. I mean, it's going to take the Madhouse to the next level.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see. And again, as someone who doesn't follow racing much, now I'm interested in the outcome of this race, and I'll try to follow along as well. And it seems, that perhaps there's room for this kind of partnership to continue. I don't know. Riley, real deal bobbleheads at the stadium. I mean, where can this go next?
It's a possibility. I'm up for anything. Honestly, I am. So
We've had the discussions, Ben, as you know how this works. As soon as the idea comes, the committees get together and we start brainstorming. And so we've already had conversations with NASCAR, and we've done a bump and run night prior. And now because of the partnership, they actually want to take it to the next level and bring their assets to the table. And so I have a full partnership from us directly to NASCAR. Obviously for us, we're going to be biased to Riley being out there. And yeah, the bobblehead's a good idea. I think that, I don't know that we've ever done like a fire suit replica giveaway. That might be an MILB first. So that's something I got to think about. Maybe he's got some pretty nice shoes too. I don't know how we do that with sizing, but we'll figure those things out. But yeah, all in all, we're pumped to be able to host the night this year, and Riley's gonna be front and center. I told him if he wins, he's throwing the first pitch. So he's got to be staying warm and loose.
Yeah.
I feel like ever since the Intimidators name went away, you guys could now stake claim very much to like being the team for NASCAR fans.
That's right. We'll sneak right in there. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, what is Dash but speed and agility?
Yeah.
You need that on the racetrack.
That's right.
hey, I will throw the first pitch gladly. I do have a baseball background, so I played for 8 years. I do miss it. So
And that's most of his life. Don't forget.
Yeah.
there's only 2 more to be halfway.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So once again, that race, Saturday, February 1st at Bowman Gray, the 2025 Cookout Madness Classic with Riley Neal in the Winston-Salem Dash fire suit and driving the car with the Dash logos. Now the minor league baseball world is behind you. This is the team to root for, the driver to root for, real deal Riley Neal with his Winston-Salem Dash partnership. And just a good guy to root for in general. So I'm glad we had this minor league baseball racing crossover, and looking forward to seeing what comes next. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Like I say, it's a really big deal for me. It's the biggest partnership I've ever been able to be a part of. And like I say, when it's something that I grew up at, like the Dash, and going to baseball games on Thursday nights and Friday nights with my family, and always loving Bolt and being involved and getting to work at the Dash, and then being able to bring what I love in my life and something else that I love together and make it one thing is just something really big to me.
The Bolt thing is like the coolest thing to me, by the way. I just want you to know, Bolt is like every mascot. Like eventually you grow into a place in life where you're like, mascots are, that's a thing about sport. Bolt will forever be the most magical. I turn into a 6-year-old child whenever I see Bolt. So I'm very glad to have that in common with you. And I cannot imagine. I would put Bolt on the back of my car, and I live in Denver. So.
Well, I have him on the side of my suit. So
that's even better.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank
you.
you,
man.
Good seeing you guys.
Good luck this weekend, Riley.
Thank y'all.
Online reviews say I'm steep, rocky, and a difficult trail. Next time, I'm gonna say, not if you're driving a Toyota truck. We know what we're made of. Toyota trucks.
We interrupt this podcast to bring you another thrilling edition of Ghosts of the Miners. Now, here's your correspondent and host, Joshua Jackson.
Welcome back to Ghosts of the Miners, in which all of you out there in Radioland must identify the legitimate historical ball club or player hiding amidst the fraudulent pair. One sought to wow fans for 9 innings. The others didn't even show up for first pitch. In the last segment, I asked you which of the following minor league baseball teams did at one time exist. A, the Oyster Bay Scrubbers. B, the Marlin Bathers. C, the Chinook Washers. You're no dirt for brains if you picked B, the Marlin Bathers, who did their best to clean up in the Texas Association for 2.5 seasons in the 1920s. Longtime listeners will remember a short-lived Ghost of the Miners club called the Marlin Marlins, who played in this same burg 20 miles south-southeast of Waco in the Central Texas League of 1916 and 1917. The landlocked town of Marlin mourned the loss of the Marlin Marlins for years, but in 1923 finally realized there were other fish in the Pro Ball Sea. That year was the inaugural season for the Texas Association, and the teams associated with the Texas Association were the Austin Rangers, the Mexia Gushers, the Sherman Twins, the Waco Indians, and the Marlin Bathers. At first, the Bathers stunk more than just about all of them. Only Waco was whacker. Marlin played like a fish out of water, going 65-73 despite the leadership of player-manager Walt Alexander, who had already played in parts of 5 seasons in the American League with the New York and St. Louis clubs. The Bathers, who drew their name from the mineral waters that made Marlin a tourist destination, made for a much slipperier opponent in 1924, having washed that losing record of 23 right out of their hair to play clean ball to the tune of a 73-55 record. Those Bathers drowned out or squeaked by just about everybody, but the Corsicana Oilers were even slicker. Marlin put up a fight with heavy hitting from Joe Munson, while Charles Gressett earned 22 victories on the mound, but the big bat of Bill Etheridge and able arm of Bill Hollis had the Oilers gush up to first place, a whopping 11.5 games ahead of second place Marlin. But things got messy for the Bathers in 25, with Fred Pipkin taking over the managerial role from Alexander, who'd bagged a job with the Greenville Hunters of the East Texas League. The Bathers had fouled things up to start 7-15 when a meeting of league officials took place on May 13 and awarded the Marlin franchise to Palestine, Texas. Pipkin stayed aboard in the short term, and so the Marlin Bathers became Pipkin's Palestine Pals. But they didn't win a whole lot of friends. Pipkin was replaced by season's end, and Palestine finished 58-75. And that's how the Bathers went down the drain. Now, on to the question for next time. Which of these players was so good he made you sick in the minors of yesteryear? A. Marvin Barf. B. Leo Pucas. C. Ted Vomity. Want to know the answer? Get a bucket. Or tune into the next Ghost of the Miners. But for now, you'll have to excuse me. My producer Ben Hill is going sledding, and it's all downhill from here.
Huge thanks, Josh Jackson swinging by with Ghost of the Miners. Riley, Real Deal Neil. If you guys were going to have a nickname similar to that, I mean, Ben's I feel like is pretty easy. Like Ben the Thrill Hill. That's pretty good. No, not so much.
I guess, both gave me like. I was trying to think of something cooler, but all I could.
Ben.
I can't come with anything. Yeah, Ben the Thrill Hill.
We'll continue brainstorming that.
Don't overthink. Ben the Thrill Hill.
Sam's is rough.
Yeah,
Sam,
it's best not to think too much about.
Schmeikstra, Dykstra.
Yeah,
this is as close as we're gonna get. I don't know. But a big thanks.
Tyler.
I always wanted to have a kid and name him Don Juan.
Yeah.
Don Juan Mon.
Yeah, I feel like that would be.
And then he could be DJ.
My grandfather's name was Donald. Was Don. Yeah. Don Mon.
The main Mon.
Yeah, DJ would work out all right. I feel like you have to be a certain level of cool to be known as DJ, though. And I don't think anything coming from me is going to be that cool to be known as initials. If I was initials first and middle, like, back in the day when it would have been like, SC Dykstra and Son General Store or whatever. TS Mon, like that's not bad. But TS, you wouldn't just like call somebody like, hey, there's TS. What's up, TS? You wouldn't, that's like only a thing that can be published, I think.
Well, you're only saying that because of T.S. Eliot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did they call him TS in the day? Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe they called him, what was his actual name? Maybe they called him that. Ben, what's your middle name?
Gregory.
BG Hill. BG Hill is very good.
BG Hill is,
yeah, that's really good.
No one ever called me BG growing up. We got a lot of Benny, but no BG.
T.S. Eliot, by the way, is Thomas Stearns Eliot. People probably called him Tommy, Tomas, whatever.
Tommy Stearns.
All right, before we get out of here on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show, time for Name That Dude. Ben is the dude knower this week, which makes me and Sam the dude guessers. Ben got the dude in like record time last week. A fantastic job on guessing the dude. All right, Ben, dude time. Fire away.
Yeah, I was lightning quick on Chad Billingsley last week. Let's see if you guys can do the same with a dude suggested by longtime friend of the podcast, friend of minor league baseball, Lynn Smith, who I believe sent dudes to all of us.
She did, and I think sent
different dudes.
two
Generous
dudes
with her dude disbursement.
I think it was two dudes to all of us because one was like kind of easier and one is like difficult. Like Lynn was not messing around. She's awesome.
Yeah, this is one the easier. The first one I was like, that's a little tricky. So we'll go with this one. He is a man who was drafted out of high school. It's pretty tough.
We narrowed down like 50% of the population.
Yeah,
out of the gate.
Got to start there. Yeah, he was a high school prospect drafted by the Mets in the 31st round in 2009. Did not sign. Instead, opted for the Cal Poly Mustangs. So he spent his college career there. And then, after several years with Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, I just like to say that, he got drafted in the supplemental first-round draft pick in 2012 by the Milwaukee Brewers. He debuts in that 2012 season with the then Class A Wisconsin Timber Rattlers in Appleton. 2013 starts there again in Appleton, moves up to High A Brevard County, the Manatees. Spent some time in the Arizona Fall League that offseason because, you know, he's a prospect. 2014, Double-A Huntsville Stars, and then over to the Diamondbacks. Finishes the year in Mobile. Starts 2015 in Mobile, Double-A. Also gets bumped back down and spends a lot of time with Visalia in the California League in 2015. At this point, he's 24 years old, and you know, it has to be kind of a dispiriting season to be playing a lot of your season in High A after being a supplemental first-round draft pick. But he keeps going. And in 2016, he's back up to AAA for the first time. Spent some time with AA Mobile, but then also up to AAA Reno Aces, and makes his major league debut in 2016 with the Diamondbacks. 2017, his Diamondbacks stint is over. He's with the Mariners in 2017, 2018, and 2019. Does not play during the shortened season of 2020, but with the Mariners in 2021. Then Mariners in 2022, a stint with the Giants in 2023, and then back to the Seattle Mariners in 2024. Tyler already knows it. I didn't even get to what position he's in.
I know, but I only know by, I won't say cheating. We had a basketball trip to Cal Poly last month. And so I was like looking at like, oh, this guy played here. This guy played here. This guy played here. It's Mitch Haniger.
That is correct.
Wow.
Mitch Haniger.
That is correct.
At first, I was going to say like Casey Fine. Remember Casey Fine? He played at Cal Poly. There were like a handful of guys. I was like, I didn't know that guy went here. And Mitch Haniger was one who stood out. That's I would not have had any idea. That is the only way. But it's interesting because I do kind of remember him as a prospect, and you sort of thought like, oh man, he's kind of getting old and he hasn't broken through yet. And then all of a sudden, like he made it, got to the big leagues, and he has just been a regular and has been a fan favorite. I mean, in Seattle, was a real fan favorite during his time there. Yeah, the Cal Poly Mustangs.
Yeah, really had a broke out in 2017 a little bit, and then 2018 first full season in the bigs where he's really producing at a high level. 26 homers, 90 RBIs, 859 OPS, and pretty decent producer from that.
Can you guys name the, I believe, only Hall of Famer to have played at Cal Poly? Because I did not know this, and I feel like, well, am I an idiot for not knowing this? Which we all know I am. But can you name the Hall of Famer who played his college ball at Cal Poly?
I cannot.
Dave Winfield.
No. Similar era. Ozzie Smith played at Cal Poly.
Okay. All right.
I did not know that. And I saw it there and I was like, you know, because Ozzie Smith was already like an established superstar by the time I was of age to know what was going on in baseball. So you just kind of assume like, well, he's always been a star. Like he was never young. He's just been one of the greatest athletes to ever live for his entire existence. So I like never even really thought about Ozzie Smith as like an amateur athlete, but he played at Cal Poly.
Yeah, me too. He was one of those stars who was just kind of ready-made and fully formed as a superstar once my own baseball memories kicked in. Ozzie Smith, Andre Dawson, Dale Murphy, of course, Mike Schmidt. Those kind of guys.
He did a backflip when taking the field. Like, how much cooler can a human being get than that? Mitch Haniger, that was a very good dude selection, and had I not just been there for work, I would not have known that one. So I feel like
I think I would have gotten it.
I cheated.
And maybe
eventually, I think with the Mariners suggestion, I think I would have.
Yeah, going back to the Mariners would have helped. Is that the first dude we've had? It's the first dude in a while that is active.
Yeah, we don't have many active dudes.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of active ones.
It's usually remembering some guys. Is like the
But that
doesn't mean we can't open it to active players.
Yeah, I like that.
Especially ones with jagged minor league careers like Mitch.
Yeah, I like that.
All for it.
Very good stuff. Great stuff as always from Lynn with her suggestion. And a huge thanks to Josh Jackson of the Winston-Salem Dash, to Riley, the real deal Neil, and for Sam Dykstra, Benjamin Hill, and all the rest. Thanks to all of you for tuning in. My name is Tyler Maughan. We'll catch you next week.
This episode is brought to you by MeUndies. Flowers die in 3 days. Matching underwear from MeUndies? That's a gift that lasts. MeUndies creates matching prints for couples and friends. Same adorable designs in different cuts for each of you. All made from their signature ultramodal fabric that feels impossibly soft. With 30 million pairs sold and 90,000 5-star reviews, MeUndies matching prints are the perfect gift. This Valentine's, get exclusive deals up to 50% off at MeUndies.com/Spotify. Code Spotify.